Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday, and also happy Halloween. As you can see, I'm all fitted up in this Jigglypuff costume here to bring you the word. And before we get into the message today, what we're going to be talking about today, I just want to give a little bit of a disclaimer because we're going to be reading through two stories from the Bible today, and both of them are very, very R rated. So if you are uncomfortable with anything that we're about to read, that's good because you shouldn't be comfortable with what's about to happen. But I think even through these heinous events, God still wants to work through and speak to us and grow us even in the worst of the worst situations. So I'm going to read two passages back to back and then we'll discuss after. The first passage is this. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed with his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please turn aside to your servant's house so that you can wash your feet and spend the night and then go away early in the morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, breaking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to see you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, do not do this wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do whatever you like with them. But do not do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." Our second passage is this. That evening, an old man from the hill country of Ephraim, who was living in Gibeah, the inhabitants of the place were Benjaminites, came from his work in the fields. When he looked and saw the traveler in the city square, the old man asked, "Where are you going, and where did you come from?" He answered, "We are on our way to Bethlehem in Judah, to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim, where I live. I have been to Bethlehem in Judah, and now I'm going to the house of the Lord. No one has taken me in for the night. We have both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and bread and wine for ourselves, your servants, me, the woman, and the young man with us. We don't need anything." "You are welcomed at my house," the old man said. "Let me supply you with whatever you need. Only don't spend the night in the square." So he took them into his house and fed his donkeys, and after they had washed their feet, they had something to eat and drink. While they were enjoying themselves, some wicked men from the city surrounded the house, pounding on the door. They shouted to the old man who owned the house, "Bring out the man who came to your house, so that we may have sex with him." The owner of the house went outside and said to him, "No, my friends, don't be so vile. Since this man is my guest, do not do this outrageous thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. I will bring them out to you now, and you can use them and do to them whatever you wish. But as for this man, do not do such an outrageous thing." Unfortunately, both of those stories are very similar to each other. A couple men or just one man is invited into a welcoming home. Then evil and disgusting people who saw the guest enter the home come over and demand that the host offer up the guest so that they can have sex with the men or with the man. And then the host then goes and offers his own daughter or daughters instead of the guest over to the evil man. Now, these stories have completely different endings, but the setup and the actions of these evil men are the same. Except in the first story, which you can read in Genesis chapter 19, the evil men are godless pagans. And in the second story, these evil men are God's chosen people, which you can go read in Judges 19. Now, there are a few principles I want to draw out from these paralleling stories. The first is, when we're not connected with God, when we're not walking with God, we are no better and no different than the world around us. These Benjaminites, these people of God, weren't walking with God and they weren't following God, and their actions were no different from the godless people around them. I mean, spot the difference between the Benjaminites, God's chosen people, one of the 12 tribes of Israel, and the people living in the city of Sodom. You can't spot the difference. It's the same flipping picture. And that's a concept that I think a lot of Christians in modern America struggle with. We look at the unrighteousness of the world around us and raise our righteousness above it. We look at the drug addicts and feel this air of superiority because we don't struggle with drug addiction. We look at people who are living promiscuously and living sexually impure lives and think that we're better than them just because we're not sleeping around like they are. We look at the sins of others that we don't struggle with and then convince ourselves that we're better than them because we don't struggle with those same sins. We look at all the people in the world who are lost and then think that we're better than them. We treat them differently. We talk about them differently just because we've been found. But who found us? One thing that I think we often forget is we didn't find ourselves. Without Christ finding us when we ourselves were lost, we would be no different from the world around us. Ephesians 2 verses 8 through 9 says this, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is a gift from God, not by works, so that no one can boast." And maybe we don't blatantly go around and boast about what we do, how we're better than people, how we're different from the world around us. But then we go and hold ourselves higher and look down on the world around us. I believe that if we truly humble ourselves and understand that without the grace of God, we are no different from the world and the culture around us, then we can truly love the people where they are at and show them the grace and love of God. The second principle I wanted to pull away from these two passages that we read earlier, and the reason I actually chose to do this devotional on this particular day, was to ask us this question, to reflect on this question. Are we really following God, or are we just putting on a costume? Later tonight, before you go out and see these little kids wearing like a Pikachu costume, before you think to yourself, hey, that Pikachu costume is really cute, I want you to see the costumes that you will tonight and think to yourself, is that my faith? Is Christ just on me? Or is Christ actually in me? Those men from the second story were from the tribe of Benjamin. They were God's chosen people, and they wore that title. They walked around as proud Benjaminites, but they didn't actually live it out. They didn't actually follow God's commands and what God told them to do. It was just a costume for them. Isaiah 29:13 says this, "The Lord says, these people will come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is based merely on human rules that they have been taught." Is that you? Are we just wearing Christ's name because it's something that we've been taught? Or are we actually living it out? I just want to encourage everyone watching this to spend some time in prayer this week and ask God to show you any areas in your life where maybe you're just wearing a costume. Lastly, Galatians 5:25 says, "Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit." If we're walking with God, let us stay close to Him. Let us keep in step with Him. Let's shift our focus onto Him so we don't fall away like the Benjaminites and become unrecognizable from the rest of the world. Let's actually live out God's love and not just wear it like a costume.